That's where the fun is. Hello there, everybody. A little Manford's Band. I'll tell you what, yeah, blinded by the light. Man, you got to love it and have fun with it. That's what I say. So it says we're live, and I think we are. So good to see everybody. It's Thursday. As I said in the chat room, we got the hammer, baby. So learn to use it. One of the hammers we should use is breaking these. Folks, these are the mind cuffs. We're all in a prison because you got to have one of these. Well, if you don't, you're from another planet. Something to think about. So favor everyone. I trust you're having a great day. Be of service to others, and trust me, you'll like it because they'll be a service to you. Happy birthday if you got one. Anniversary, enjoy it. Plastic Jesus. I know someone used to say that quite a bit. Welcome, everybody. We're prospering, having fun. Welcome to Skynet. It is alive and active. Yes, the movies are merely the precursors of what our reality is about. Remember in 2011, in the movie Contagion, they gave us the story, folks. This is nothing new. You can go back and watch the movie. It is exactly, well, almost exactly what happened. So anyway, hey, Lost in Space, Deborah Sloan, how you doing? Danielle, Mad Cow, good to see you. Nina the Mystic, what's up? Deborah Sloan. I think I saw Martin and Heidi in there as well, along with Paul and Gaia. There's Elderberry. Shout out to Susan from the Welsh Valley in the UK. Is that in Wales? I'm not familiar with that region that way. Hey, Joe Saping, what's up? Good to see you, John Price. No problem there. PJ, I like that. You see, that's kind of interesting. I like that. So there's Delaney Pearl. How you doing, darling? B3, good to see you. Matt Cal Perkins, what's happening? So I read that David Castle has a tattoo appointment. So David Castle, we're giving you a shout out. Someone I hadn't seen in a while, Sue G, Marsha, so many people. We get so caught up in this nonsense, this craziness. Hey, Teresa, what's happening? Eye of the Maelstrom, good to see you from over there in the UK as well. So there's Lisa. How are you doing? Lovejoy. We got a tribe going on. I'm telling you, tonight on the Steiger perspective. Yeah. If I'm not already on all the lists, well, I'll certainly be on them for sure. No doubt about it. I'm just telling you. But it's all good stuff. Listen, when you live in a society where you can still at least express your thoughts, we still got a chance. In some cases, I know it's like a freaking train wreck. I mean, it's like, how bad is the damage going to be? And Jerry sent me something that I'm going to share with all of us because it really needs to be shared. Wow. We have really screwed up. I mean, Homo sapiens. I mean, I read this and it's a very quick read. It's like, what have we done? We are in the midst right now, folks, of basically bringing to extinction so many different species, and we're killing ourselves. We've lit the fuse. Jacques Cousteau said it before he passed over. He sounded the alarm in 1980s, the 90s. He said that the oceans were already dying then. And what I'm about to read to you now is going to piss you off. It really is. And it makes me wonder, why don't we just break all these? We really don't need them. Let me tell you what, I grew up in a time where I didn't have that. Now, I did have one of the original car phones, which were really nothing more than a radio phone, because that's all existed back then. But we got along just fine. It was like, hey, no problem. But these are going to be the death of humanity. So real quick, again, tune in tonight, Steiger Perspective, artistfirst.com, 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. if you're out here in the Mountain West. All right, let me get right to this. We are a prospering baby, and I'm still going to get to the angels, but I really want to get into this really quick. What we're doing here is a travesty. I don't know how many of you are aware of this. I have to tell you, I was not, at least not to this extent. The cell towers on the ocean floors, one blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shores, one earth so green and round. Who could ask for anything more? I added the anything. That's Pete Seeger. Check out his music. He was really good back there in the days. All right, I got to read this to you, folks. So this is some wild stuff. Get ready. In 2018, on land and in space, preparations to deploy millions of antennas were very publicly being made and advertised for 5G, smart cities, and the Internet of Things. At the same time, without any publicity, governments, research laboratories, and commercial and military interests were collaborating on plans to create, quote unquote, smart oceans. And get this is something that I reached out at a couple of people I know in Silicon Valley and in other places. They hadn't really heard about this. The Internet of Underwater Things, the IOUT, excuse me. They did not consult the fishes, nor the whales, nor the dolphins, nor the octopuses, who are truly aliens. Octopuses, you talk to most biologists, they'll tell you, and marine biologists, octopuses don't belong here. But anyway, I digress. And other inhabitants of those depths. In the United States, the National Science Foundation funded what is called the Sheen-It Project. The goal was to enable broadband wireless communications from any point on or in the oceans to anywhere else on the planet or in space. The Internet of Underwater Things is being designed to enable all the same communication capabilities that are being provided on land, including real-time video streaming underwater. First of all, I got to ask myself, why would you want video streaming underwater? What are they going to be building cities? Is this the last refuge? Is the big crap storm coming? I don't know. Yeah, I think it is. In the last 3 years, a flood of papers have been published by scientists and engineers in virtually every country of the world. I'm not going to go through and little US, China, yada, yada, yada. And elsewhere. In 2020, the IEE Internet of Things Journal established a special issue on Internet of Things for Smart Ocean. In 2019, the journal Sensors published a special issue on Smart Ocean. Emerging research advances, prospects, and challenges. And the same journal is now publishing another special issue on the Internet of Underwater Things. So if I can say this, as bad as this is, it looks like it's not going to stop. It's a new technological frontier. But there's already competition in it. So shall we continue? Some of the activities that supposedly, quote unquote, need this technology in the oceans are climate change monitoring, pollution control and tracking, disaster prevention, including tsunami warning systems, ocean exploration, fishing and aquaculture, coral reef harvesting, tectonic plate monitoring, navigation, global oceanic trade, oil and gas exploration and production, and finally, military communication and surveillance. Of course. The infrastructure that is beginning to be deployed throughout the oceans include the following: sensors and antennas called nodes on the ocean floor, nodes at different depths, surface nodes, relay antennas at different depths to transmit data vertically from the ocean floor to the ocean surface, and horizontally between nodes. This horizontally, this is something, yeah. I continue. Autonomous underwater vehicles, AUVs, autonomous surface vehicles, ASVs, underwater robots, and wireless surface buoys, smart boats and ships, smart submarines, and smart shores. It's like, what the hell is the smart shore? I'm going to find out. So when you just read this part, you go, well, they've been really busy. I mean, robots, boats, ships, AI vehicles, relay antennas all over the freaking place. I mean, hello. Communication being more difficult to accomplish underwater than through air and more subject to interference, several different types of communication media are being used in the oceans to send data at different speeds and over different distances. Acoustic waves, radio waves, lasers, LED light, and magnetic induction are all being used to flood the ocean floors with data. An underwater GPS system is being developed. I mean, folks, if I can see it on land having a GPS system, but how many of us are going to, they're there. Most of these media work only for short to medium range communication, like Bluetooth. Long range communication relies on acoustic waves and is similar to the technology used in ocean sonar. And so here it is. You have the satellites. They are kind of like the hub. And then you have the surface. These are the transmission buoys sitting up here. Then underneath here, you have these nodes, these sensors. And so you have shipborne. And then over here, you have remote monitoring. And then you have all the thin client application. And of course, the Internet of underwater things. These technologies are, now you may say, well, so what's the big deal? Just wait. These technologies are already being marketed commercially and installed in the world's oceans today. At the 2022 Oceanology International Conference, which will be held in London from March 15th to 17th, maybe, dozens of these companies will be exhibiting their products. Here's just a few. Waterlinked sells underwater sensor technology through distributors around the world for use in aquaculture and in underwater navigation. Our wireless sense trademark technology enables reliable wireless communications and innovative subsea sensor solutions. What kind of business are you in where you need this? Evologics sell underwater acoustic modems, both mid-range and long-range, good to know that provide full duplex digital communications. Okay. Think of wireless now. Sonodyne, not Cyberdyne, Sonodyne International sells underwater acoustic modems to oil and gas industry and to government and navies. Voyas sells short and long range underwater laser scanners. I mean, what are you doing where you need an array of lasers underwater, deep in the ocean? Geospectrum sells integrated end-to-end acoustic systems for oil and gas exploration and for military purposes. Dynautics sells autonomous underwater vehicles, the AUVs. Seabear sells off-the-shelf micro AUVs. Hydromea markets the first ever tetheredless underwater drone. Meteoronos Senalis Maritimus sells data buoys that integrate sensors through our data logger so the data can be transmitted to remote stations and displayed on our software. 3D at Depth Incorporated provides advanced subsea LiDAR laser systems. Teledyne Marine sells autonomous underwater gliders, autonomous underwater vehicles, unmanned robot submarines, and laser systems for both shallow and deep sea submerged diving. A lot of laser systems going on. Underwater robots swarm the ocean, says a page on the website of Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute. The Institute has developed an acoustic-based navigation system that is enabling large numbers of underwater robots to work together. Instead of using just a single, large and more expensive underwater robot to cover an area of the ocean, we want to have hundreds, even thousands of smaller, low-cost robots that can all work in sync. Okay. I have one question, though. How big of a freaking robot are they talking about? I mean, if this one's going to replace it with hundreds, even thousands, who know, maybe hundreds of thousands of low-cost robots, tell you what happens when you overthink it. I actually had a client, Oceanographic. They made the underwater ROVs. It was a pretty cool company. Went all the way down there into Morgan City, Louisiana. Let me tell you about the drive. I'll tell you later, but yeah. You literally drive through the swamp. Yeah. Anyway, ocean protection organizations have long been campaigning against noise pollution in the oceans, but they are only beginning to be aware of this new type of assault, which has the potential, ladies and gentlemen, to dwarf all previous noise assaults in its scope and magnitude. For example, one of the campaigns of the environmental organization Sea Shepherd is silencing the deafening roar of ocean noise pollution. They write, in 1953, Jacques Cousteau published a classic memoir on his early days of underwater exploration. He titled this book, The Silent World. Today, human activities make a mockery of that title. Over the past several decades, marine noise pollution has grown at an exponential rate. Noise from vessel traffic is doubling every decade. Pile driving, dredging, sonar, and seismic exploration for oil and gas add to the cacophony. For maritime wildlife, and especially for acoustically sensitive crustaceans, this anthropomorphic racket poses a great, grave, and growing threat. Ocean noise pollution causes severe stress, behavioral changes, masking, i.e., difficulty perceiving important natural sounds, strandings, and noise-induced loss of hearing sensitivity. To this mix is now being added the Internet of Underwater Things, which is beginning to flood the oceans with sound in order to connect them to the Internet. And this sound will be pulse modulated with the same harmful frequencies as radio waves in order to carry out the same data. And to communicate over large distances, some of the underwater acoustic modems that are being marketed are capable of producing sound as loud as 202 decibels. That is equivalent to 139 decibels in the air. That'll blow your ears out. It is as loud as a jet engine at a distance of 100 feet and is above the threshold of pain for humans. Why wouldn't it be the same for aquatic life? These modems blast modulated sound at frequencies ranging from 7 kilohertz to 107 kilohertz, encompassing almost the entire hearing range of dolphins, which use sound for hunting and navigation. The effects of sonar on whales and dolphins have been widely publicized, but the effects of noise pollution on fish and other denizens of the deep are just as devastating. As Lindy Welgert detailed in her 36-page report on ocean care, and you can download it, she reviewed 115 research studies on the effects of noise on 66 species of fish and 36 species of invertebrates. Most fish and invertebrates use sound for vital life functions. She writes, noise impacts on development include body malformations. Now, correlate this to what they're doing with us from the 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, 6G. Higher egg or immature mortality, developmental delays, delays in metamorphizing and settling, and slower growth rates. Anatomically, impacts from noise involve massive internal injuries, cellular damage to the straticus and the neurons, causing disorientation and even death, and hearing loss. Behavioral, animals showed alarm responses, increased aggression, hiding, and flight reactions, and decreased anti-predator defense. Nest digging, nest care, courtship calls, spawning, egg clutches, and feeding. Some commercial catches dropped by up to 80% due to noise and large fish leaving the area. If the new assaults continue, it will provide the last nails in the coffins of our oceans. And since the oceans are the source of all life of our planet, already in 1970, just 17 years after he published Silent World, Jacques Cousteau, returning from 3.5 years of exploration in which he traveled 155,000 miles, I think that's 6 times around the world, told the world the oceans are dying. The pollution is everywhere. He couldn't find any place where there wasn't pollution, and this was in 1970. People don't realize that all pollution goes to the seas, said Cousteau. The earth is less polluted. It is washed by the rain, which carries everything into the oceans, where life has diminished by 40% in 20 years. Fish disappear, flora too. And what was not being poisoned was being mined for food, as though the ocean life was an inexhaustible resource. The oceans are being scraped, he said. Eggs and larvae are disappearing. In the past, the sea renewed itself. It was a complete cycle, but this balance was upset with the appearance of the industrial civilization. Shrimp are being chased from their holes, get this, by electric shock. Lobsters are being sought in impossible places. Coral reef is disappearing, even in the Indian Ocean, which is little traveled. Well, it's very heavily traveled today. We're hanging ourselves. Life in the oceans today is hanging by a thread. If the rate of population declines continue, there will, get this, be almost no fish left in the oceans by 2048. The oceans are absorbing 24 million tons of carbon dioxide every day. That's what they do. And are 26% more acidic than before we began burning fossil fuels. That's a problem right there. And have absorbed 93% of the heat generated by greenhouse gases. Well, the damage already done to coral reefs by acidification, rising temperatures, the bottom trawling would take 100,000 years for nature to repair. Diatoms, a type of algae at the base of the ocean's food chain that is also the source of a third of the world's oxygen production, have been declining by more than 1% per year for 2 decades. Populations of krill, the small shrimp-like crustaceans that make up a large portion of the diet of many species of whales, penguins, and seals, have declined by 80% since the 1970s. And the deepest layers of the oceans are severely depleted of oxygen. So much so that the deep diving fish no longer dive deep but remain near the surface in order to breathe. And populations of fishes that lived in the deep sea are drastically declining. Warming oceans can no longer hold as much oxygen, and it is the deepest waters that are depleted of oxygen first. Large numbers of bottom-dwelling crabs have suffocated off the coast of Oregon. More than 1,000 manatees died of starvation in 2021 off the coast of Florida because of the seagrass that they eat has been killed by pollution. And there is so much plastic throughout the oceans that sardines sold in Australian fish markets contain 3 milligrams of plastic in every gram of their tissue. I read just last week, New England Journal of Medicine. We all now have plastic in us. No doctors, no research is being done on this, but the consumption of these particles, this byproduct of oil, is in us. The younger you are, the more plastic is in you. Although many of the assaults in the oceans and on the earth, the single most urgent assault, which is destroying the planet the quickest, is wireless technology. It is the most destructive itself. It speeds up and coordinates all the other assaults. And driving all the wireless technology, including wireless technology on land, in space, and now in the oceans, is the cell phone. You're handcuffed. It's got you, baby. All wireless technology from 2G to 5G to the Internet of Things to the Internet of Underwater Things requires everyone to be holding a cell phone in their hands. You see, all of us are actually antennas that the cell phone companies, AT&T, Verizon, all of them, that's what they use you for. Bet you didn't know that, did you? Well, maybe some of you did. Okay. It is the direct, it is the target, and without it, the present rate of destruction could not continue. In other words, if every one of us left our cell phones turned off in our house and left our house, and if we did that by 10 million, you would see a very interesting effect. As Hillel said 2,000 years ago, if not now, when? And if not me, who? And you can see all the references to overwhelming. If you are really one of a fact checker, then you really ought to get this. By the way, this is a great place to sign up, www.5gspaceappeal.org. Sign the petition, sign up for their newsletter. One other document that they have for free that you can download and share with others is this one. We're the contamination now of these satellites. This is, and then the average person, you and I, we don't have a freaking clue what they're broadcasting, what they're scanning, what they're collecting. But get this, nearly 500,000, 441,449 low orbit, Earth orbit satellites. It says, while the attention of the terrified world has been riveted on the virus, and while concern about radiation has been focused on 5G on the ground, the assault on the heavens has reached astronomical proportions. During the past 2 years, the number of satellites circling the Earth has increased from 2,000 to 4,800, and a flood of new projects has brought the number of operating, approved, and proposed satellites to at least, again, 441,449. And that number only includes the LEOs. That's the low Earth orbits satellites that will reside in the ionosphere. Do you know what happens in the ionosphere? It's where our weather, that's That's the nature creation thing. Man can't touch it. Man can't duplicate it. But we're going to be putting these satellites. This is nuts. This is insanity. The satellite projects include the ones listed below. The companies are based in the United States unless otherwise restricted. I say we need to start pounding the U.S. Federal Commission and ask them, where are the health studies? Where are the projected studies? And what happens if one of these satellites go off? But in any case, they've approved apparently 17,270 satellites. They are as follows. Amazon. This is the Kepler project, 3,236 satellites. Astro Digital has 30 satellites approved. Black Sky Global. Isn't that a hell of a name? What the hell does Black Sky Global do? Well, they got 36 satellites. Boeing, 147,000. Capella Space Corporation, 7. Global Star, operating since 2000, 48 satellites. Hawkeye, 360. Oh, I wonder what they do. You feeling a little naked when you're taking a shower? Yeah. 80 satellites. ICI, 6 satellites. They're in Finland. Iridium, operating since 1998, 66 satellites. Kepler Communications in Canada, 140 satellites. Loft Orbital, 11 satellites. OneWeb, 720 satellites. They're in the UK. Planet Labs, operating 200 satellites. R2 Space, 8 satellites. Spiral Global, 175 satellites. SpaceX, 11,943 satellites. What is SpaceX with, you won't be able to escape the internet. Not even under the oceans now. Swarm, 150 satellites. Telsat, 117 satellites. They're in Canada. Thea Holdings, 120 satellites. Umbra Labs, 6, and Viasat, 24 satellites. Applications for an additional 65,912 satellites pending before the FCC. Here we have Amazon. Again, 4,000, additional 4,538. AST and Science, 243 satellites. Astrospace, 13,620 satellites. Boeing, they need, on top of their 11, what did Boeing have up here? Let's go back up here to Boeing. Boeing had 147. Now Boeing wants to put up 5,789 satellites. Here we have Black Sky again. They want an additional 14 satellites. Fleet Space Technologies in Australia, they want 40 satellites. Hughes Network Systems, 1,440 satellites. Emisat, 190 satellites. They're in the UK. Kepler Communications, 2 additional constellations of 360 satellites and 212 satellites. I'm going to look a little bit more because this is interesting. So Kepler, they have 2 additional constellations of how they're configuring this. Link Global, 10 satellites in Hong Kong. Maxar Technologies, 12, and New Spectrum, 30 in Canada. OneWeb, they want another. They need another 6,368. Orbital Sidekick, 6 satellites. SNS Space Systems, 1,900. SpaceX, they want an additional 30,000 satellites to what they already have up there now. And we got the constellations. These are groupings, apparently totaling 14,892 satellites announced by governments. Golang and China, because we haven't talked about China or Russia, they're going to be putting up 13,000 satellites. Russia, 264, 640. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, 20 satellites, U.S. military. Space Development Agency, 500 satellites, U.S. military. European Union Commission, they want 400 satellites. And again, Chinese military wants 76. Other LEO constellations planned by the U.S. and foreign companies, totaling more than 16,055 satellites. I think you're getting the idea now that this is madness, complete madness. Here's Rwanda. Rwanda wants to put up over 300,000 satellites. So you know what this does, and we're going to get out of here because we're going to get back into our primary study. Oh, here we are. Here I am. Hello, how are you? This is nuts. Thank you, Jerry, for sending this. I mean, sign the petition. Folks, this is just, it's insane. I mean, you won't be able, you know, as myself, as a backyard amateur astronomer, there's so much crap up there now. Besides the pollution, the light pollution, I mean, it's just, God, it's nuts. Okay. Like I said, I just wanted to share it with you because this freaks me out. I mean, you know, the ocean thing. If there is, in fact, a God that's as vengeful as the one that I used to know, we've truly pushed it off. And as I've studied the other gods of the other lands and the other cultures, we have surely pissed them off. I think Lilith is been pissed. Now she's really pissed. Yeah. I think the spirit realm, if they could really project what they really think about what we're doing to this planet, we're going to get our ass kicked. I don't think we got ascension. That's only going to be for a remnant, a small portion. Because the mass psychosis effect, which is being deployed, they've perfected it over the years. They just have better means of broadcasting it. I mean, tell me where the upside is on this. I'm just being very candid with the Soul Tribe. Tell me where the upside is this. I mean, we can sit here and hold hands and sing Kumbaya all day long, but in the meantime, our species is committing genocide to a kingdom, probably two kingdoms. And to think at the rate we're going, we're only 25 years away. I mean, massive food shortages. The thing that they're doing now, the fishing industry. I mean, they sell trash fish, tripe. This is supposed to be the things that I used to see come from the oceans. You can't, they're gone. Oh, man. It sucks. And you know, folks, I guess this is this time where we just need to be honest with one another. I love this group of people. It sustains many of us. But what is magic? What is prayer? What is faith if it does absolutely nothing but for the individual? I mean, isn't that the epitome of selfishness? I'm just talking. I mean, as we sit here, our country has committed atrocities to many different life forms. We have this arrogance about us that we really think we're the top. We're thinking that, you know, I'm reading a really messed up book. I got to tell you, the dude, he's really got his head up his proverbial ass, but I'm reading it. And, You know, boy, talk about getting me riled up. This is what I despise about religion. Religion is so damn arrogant in its fundamental foundation because it says that you are supposedly God's crowning creation and that God has instilled in you godhood. Well, if we're gods, look at what we're doing. We're making our earth desolate. Woof. Ay, 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 ay. It's almost overwhelming. Just be candid with you. It really is. I cherish the knowledge, the gnosis that I gain because it allows me an avenue that maybe, just maybe, I can connect to a power, a group of consciousness that could reach out to the sea life. When Lynn and I were in Hawaii, we got married in Hawaii. We went out on where we did some diving. And while we were going out to the reef where we were going to go diving, we got surrounded by dolphin. And it was incredible. I remember we were on this huge catamaran, and I put my hand in the water and I could feel one. It was just incredible, intelligent. And if any of you dive, you know what that's like. That's not our world. We have no dominion over that. And that's what I hate about religions, because it gives us this false narrative that God gave us dominion. Well, if he gave us dominion, we have totally effed it up, folks. And to think at the way we're going. Whew. What can I say? Ay, ay, ay. Danny, I know, just talk to the mother and she will talk to the father. You know, I just wish there was, you know, that's the helplessness that when you become aware of this. So what are you going to do? Stand up and shake your fist at Go Brandon? Stop contaminating our oceans? I mean, we've got these biomasses out there now made of plastic. It's our trash. There is big estates now. Cover thousands of miles. And the thing about it is that the plastics, they never completely break down. And now we're killing the very plankton that puts a third of the oxygen into the world. This is crazy. Okay, moving right on along. Hey, by the way, I'm going to be on Robert's show on Saturday night, Milky Way Soul Tribe. So make sure y'all check that out. All right, so let's just continue to see how much they screwed us over. As we continue on with our reading, it's like, okay, can we get to the happy stuff? All right, here we go. Have you ever wondered why TV shows are sometimes called TV programs? We all know this. They are called TV programs because they're being used to program your mind with the mnemonics and the subliminal message. Yeah, I know. They did not call them TV programs for no reasons. They are effective because they manipulate our minds, and they do. I mean, the baby boomers were the first one to grow up with this mind effect. And yeah, they screwed with us. Disney was a big contributor to that because they use sigils. sacred geometry, sound, and light to create magic effects to control your thought patterns. Because of their effectiveness, many corporations are replacing conventional subliminal messages with these mnemonics and their advertising campaigns. Two things. When I was in the video industry, post-production, we had a major beer brand. That is true. We in the edit suite, all we had to do was just replace one frame. It's pretty easy. I mean, there's 30 frames per second. And, you know, it wasn't what people thought. It wasn't a sexy woman or whatever. Many times it was a hamburger. It was peanuts. Want to know why? Because those would make you thirsty. Anyway, and it's true. In Las Vegas casinos, they are masters at this. That's why you don't see the outside, because once you're inside their magic spell, they're going to pick your pockets clean, but they're going to give you a feeling of euphoricness while you're losing your ass. It's very important information you need to know about the government is that it's a corporation. According to Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition, a corporation is, here you go, an artificial person. Because the government is a corporation, an artificial person, it is a fictitious entity that has no natural rights and power. Its main source of power comes from feeding on the energy of the people. Because the government needs the people's energy to have power, you see, it's the same thing with religion. If you're part of the Southern Baptists, well, you're part of a different, you have your own God, you have your own Jesus. If you're a part of the United Methodists, you have your own God, you have your own Jesus. It's because they're fictitious. Anyway, people are going, oh, you're going to go to hell for that. Doesn't exist. But the point is, when you congregate, you're giving your energy to this fictitious thing and it becomes real. And then it feeds off you. Yeah, it's true. Sadly, most people have been brainwashed to think that the government has power over them. Whenever the government becomes tyrannical, all we need to do is remove our support and it will collapse on its own. This is how we can stop tyrannical governments without violent revolutions. There's a smarter way of doing it. It's just that most people, they just don't know these things. Another misconception most of us have about government is the idea that the agents of the government have authority over us. Remember, the main source of power for the government is the energy of the people. Power to the people. Anyway, without us, the government has no real power, and therefore its agents also have no power to tell us what to do. One of the groups that is part of the government is the police force. The government agents that make up the police force are sometimes called cops. Today, cops are not really here to protect and serve the people. Instead, they exist for the main purpose of serving and protecting the dark magicians and their minions. The dark magicians often think of cops as the lowest pawns of the government. The word cop is derived from the Latin word capri, which means to take. Since etymologists believe it originated from the Middle French word caper, meaning seize, to take, as a noun, dictionary.com defines the word cop as a police officer or a person who seeks to regulate a specific behavior, activity, practice, etc. As a verb, it's defined cop as to catch, nab, or to steal, flinch, or to buy narcotics. To understand why the word cop is used to describe the lowest pawns of the government, you need to find and study the hidden meaning of the word cop. Furthermore, you need to know the difference between the words lawful and legal. I will go into more detail about the differences between these two words in the next chapter, and that one is a headbanger. For now, the important information you need to know about the word lawful and legal is that lawful is more about natural rights, God-given rights, and legal is more about rights given to you by man or government. Because the word lawful is related to natural rights, anything that is lawful is above anything that is legal. For example, when cops pull you over for a speeding and give you a speeding ticket, they are operating under legal status, not lawful status. In other words, they are unlawfully giving you a ticket. The reason that it is unlawful for cops to give you a speeding ticket is because it violates your natural right to travel. However, if you have a driver's license and or your vehicle is registered to the government, cops can, in fact, pull you over for speeding without having to worry too much about violating your natural rights. Your driver's license or license plate is evidence that you have a contract with the government, and therefore it puts you under the jurisdiction of the government and its agents. Your right to travel is protected by natural law, a body of spiritual laws. It is a natural right inherently given by God to you. Because of this, no man, government agent, or government agency can lawfully tell you to stop traveling or how to travel without your consent. If they were to force you to stop traveling without your consent, they would be in direct violation of natural law. To overcome the problem of violating your natural rights to travel, the dark forces invented the driver's license, which is a contract designed to trick you to give them consent. When you sign your name on the driver's license contract, you agree to allow the government and its agents to have jurisdiction over you when you drive a vehicle. For instance, you don't have to have a license to walk, at least not yet. You don't have to have a license to breathe, not yet. This is why cops are trained to ask you for, first of everything, your driver's license. As soon, and get this, folks, as soon as you give them your driver's license, boom, you've triggered something. They have the legal right to give you a ticket unless you did not violate any traffic laws. Once you know cops are in violation of your natural rights whenever they force you to do anything without your consent, you should know that the hidden meaning of the word cop is a government agent whose main role is to catch people and steal their money using unlawful citations. The more citations cops give out, the more money their employer, the government, can collect. Do you remember what I said earlier about the definition of the word cop? As a verb, the word cop is defined as to catch, to nab, or to steal, flinch, or to buy. This definition of the word cop describes pretty accurate what many cops are doing to us these days. The process of using unlawful citation to steal our money is not only practiced by cops. Many government agents, whether they realize it or not, are also using unlawful citations to steal our money to finance the system of, in his case, the New World Order. But now you should be aware that the government is an artificial person. For this reason, the government cannot directly deal with a living person. To overcome this problem, the people in control of the secret government, which are the dark magicians of the, as he says, the New World Order, created another artificial person. The artificial person is known as the legal name, which is the name of your birth certificate, driver's license, etc. To rule our minds and control us, the dark magicians used their government to trick us to consent to play the legal name game. By participating in the legal name game, we unknowingly agree to be a corporation, an artificial person. This allows the government to do business with us and have jurisdiction over us. Furthermore, the legal name game makes it easier for the government to enslave us in the artificial matrix of the dark forces. Do you understand now why the word government means to rule your mind? The good news is that when we know how to exercise our natural rights and be sovereign and responsible, we become the true rulers of the government. In other words, we become the true governors of our mind, which esoterically means governments. Remember, the word government secretly means to rule the mind or govern the mind. There is a spiritual side to the earth-making drama. So if you do not know who you truly are and how to exercise your natural rights, you will have a very difficult, hard time freeing yourself from the artificial matrix of the dark forces. Another essential power that you need to know how to exercise is the power of natural law, a group of spiritual laws that governs the dynamics of the universe. One of the most important natural laws is the law of free will. And that's where we'll end it. Because that's where the name game comes in. Yeah, man, weird stuff. You ever sometimes just feel like you're in this madhouse? Yeah, there's a song like that. It's a madhouse. I'm telling you, it's a madhouse. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. And tonight's show on the Steiger perspective. Ay, 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 ay. Yeah. Well, Teresa, you're welcome. Love the Andromeda 7 women. They are a beautiful group, and their guest as well. He said weird stuff at the exact glitch of the video. Is the video glitching? Did it glitch? I don't know. Wayne, look into the claim to the life. This is part of the awakening. The Russell J. Is that gold saved our flag from capture, and this is the Postmaster General, thus us suppressed information. I used to have the true American flag behind me, but it was, I'll put it back up. Why not? It is the true flag, right? Well, you can now see where Skynet is coming on. How about that? I mean, now we want to know. And so you really think that this thing, the internet, that it really needs electricity now? Tesla, man, wireless energy. It don't need no stinking electricity from no stinking plug. It's got all it wants. It's got more than it can use. The sound amplified. Is that right? Nina says, join us for Discord. Hey, there you go. The carries on the conversation. I think I put that link in there. If I haven't, Nina, make sure to remind me of that. I updated your link as well. Can't stand the pet. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Divine, and to know what you mean. Robert Scott says there is a swinging gate in every court. It must be crossed with your free will. Once crossed, you give up your common law. Yeah. Do you ever feel like, it's like, I thought that was, a treat. Yeah. Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Andromeda 7. If I haven't put your link in there, Teresa, let me know. How to detox and boost immunity. I like that. Hey, Gaia, let me know when you and Paul can come on. I'd love to have that. There is no jurisdiction that forces anyone to pay taxes unless you file. It's voluntary. Yeah, it is. And the thing about it is, once you file, you can't get out of it unless you die. And then many times your living relatives inherit you. Yeah, it is true. Never saw the gold fringe on the 48 star flag. Well, there's probably a good reason for that, John Price, because if it ain't, that is where it is. You're welcome, Danielle. Hey, Ronnie, good to see you. Flight Risk, how you doing? Hey, just email me. Make sure, I bought my copy because I love books, books. knowledge. It's like that one Meredith Burleson who in the Twilight Zone. Remember where he was the librarian? He didn't want to be around people. He just wanted to read books. And then they nuked, big nuke went off. He comes out. There's no people. Now he's really happy. He's got all the books, no people. And then he breaks his glasses. Do you have any good news? Yes, I do, Al. Here is some great news. The University of Oregon, in a preliminary study, has found that marijuana apparently helps protect your immune system. It has 2 cannabinoids that apparently make the insertion of spike proteins can't happen. So, as I said tonight, live free, live high, live high on life. That's it. Yes. Joe Awesome, good to see you. Thank you. Michael, how are you doing? So that's the good news, Al. I mean, that's just fabulous freaking good news. I smoked my first joint 1969. I knew then, That's all I got to say. Well, what can I say? It's just the way it is. It's one of the smart things I think that we've done. I guess it was the effect of the baby boomers is that we did get it legalized, huh? Love plants, Martin and Heidi. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Wow, I went over. Hey, I'll see y'all tonight. And no one bogarted. I knew a dude and he was a cool dude, but the problem was no one ever wanted to give him a joint, if you passing the joint around, that son of a gun would always wet lip it every time. And I think about all the times when we were sharing those joints and those pipes, how many we were passing viruses and getting high at the same time, weren't we? But y'all know what I mean. You know how the guy, he wet lips it. I mean, that's just gross. What time is the evening show? It is 10 p.m. Eastern, artistfirst.com. See, y'all know it. Y'all know it. Exactly. No lip, man. It's like, man, can't you just smoke that joint with, that's why you put it between your fingers, man. Jeez. All right. Much love to everyone. I shall see you later. All right. Favor to all of us. Bye-bye.